My name's Pete Wood, you're watching Hexhamtv. Who are you?
I'm Glen Sanderson. I'm the leader of the County Council and I'm also a farmer with a small family farm between Morpeth and Alnwick.
Glen, thanks for being interviewed by Hexhamtv. I know you got in contact with Hexhamtv as a result of some comments that the local Hexham MP Joe Morris made about an extra £400 million being invested in Northumberland by the Labour government. I know you've mentioned you dispute this. Why do you dispute it? What are the facts?
Because one of the problems about giving out figures is they can be easily not misused, that's too harsh, but they can be used in perhaps not the most productive way. So the county council will receive, as do all county councils, a lump of money every year from government funding, which is called the borrowing power or the spending power. And that amount of money has stayed roughly the same for some time. There was a small increase this year, but the 400 million relates to the normal amount that we get. It's not extra. And so this year we did get about 5% more, but unfortunately, because of the national insurance contributions that were put on, inflation and all the other pressures, actually we're out of pocket. So as I say, it's always regrettable when politicians, even minor ones like me, use figures that do mislead. The basic fact is the County Council has received roughly the same amount of money this year as it did last year.
What plans does Northumberland County Council have for Hexham and the west of the county in the next 4 years?
So there are lots of plans, lots of projects underway at the moment. So when I walked up from the leisure centre this morning, it's good to see the marketplace being done. It's good to see the work that's already happened in Hexham. And of course, one of the biggest projects we have on at the moment is the Hexham Middle School site. Now, we could have sold that for a very large capital receipt, for a large cheque. But we decided instead we wanted to have a more imaginative, more ambitious programme that would incorporate a range of housing for the benefit of Hexham residents and those people who want to move to Hexham. So that's low-cost housing, it's sheltered housing, and so on. That's in slight contrast to the Police and Crime Commissioner, who's recently put the police houses on the market for executive housing. I think there's probably almost enough executive housing in Hexham compared to the need for more low-cost housing. So that's in Hexham. We're also spending Borderlands money, up to £5 million in Bellingham. We want to build the new East Centre in Prudhoe. And there are a whole range of other initiatives in near Corbridge, for example, which is the new active travel scheme, which is better facilities for cyclists and for walkers. So there's an awful lot going on. So to say we're not doing enough in the West is a bit naughty.
You mentioned housing, social and affordable housing, and right across the county there's a desperate need for social housing.
Yeah.
It would appear, setting the middle school site aside for the moment, and I accept what you say about the mixed use there, that a lot of the planning applications are approved for executive style houses or retirement properties, when actually what people need is starter homes. They need perhaps workspaces linked to homes, but something so local people can get on the ladder, or they can rent somewhere at an affordable rate. Why is more social housing not being built?
It's because there's not enough land that is that is on the market for that type of housing. The County Council does have the middle school site, and we are going to make the maximum use of that to fill that gap that you're talking about quite rightly, that lack of affordable social housing. That's the bit of land that we own in Hexham, and that's what we're going to do. But across the county, affordable housing is one of our priorities, and we have delivered over the last 6 years getting on for 3,000 affordable homes across the county, working with partners in Berwick, in the southeast of the county and so on. But I want to see more in the more rural areas. I want to see more that suits local people so they can stay locally where they live. So that's something that's very important to us, and as a result of that and around the messages that we're getting from central government about building lots more houses, we've decided to embark on a renewal of our local plan. And so all residents, if they want to, will have a say in that, along with house builders and housing providers. So it's a very big step for us to be taking, and it's a very long process, but we are going to make sure that that is a key element in our future plans to make sure that we build more affordable social housing, particularly in rural areas.
Priddock Community High School has been closed due to it being unsafe, despite being built relatively recently. This has caused major disruption to pupils and staff and the community, as pupils have to be bused to a site in Washington. When will this situation be resolved, and is a full public inquiry going to be held about why this situation arose?
My understanding is that the school should be open again soon, with the repairs having been carried out. Now, I may be wrong here, so forgive me if I am, but that's my understanding. And also my understanding is that the repairs that are needed are not earth-shatteringly huge. My understanding is that there are elements of the building that have that need attention, but it's not about to collapse or anything major like that. So I think when all of that is out, then the question about a public inquiry is right. But what I would say is it's been horrendously difficult for many parents and many of the students to have to go through this long haul twice a day, past the metro centre and the horrible conditions that any of us that use that road know can exist there. But you know, we should get everything back to normal soon. We did actually offer the Hexham Middle School site as an alternative location, but it was felt by the school that that wasn't as good as going to Washington. But we did make that offer, and as I say, I hope very much things are sorted out soon.
Education provision for pupils with special educational needs in Northumberland is poor, with pupils having to travel long distances to school and parents having limited choice. What's the County Council doing to resolve this situation?
We can do two things, and we are doing two things. The first one is to try and encourage more mainstream schools to take pupils with a statement, for want of a better word, or with special needs, into mainstream schools to use that facility as a better learning opportunity. Not all mainstream schools want to do that. So the alternative that we have is at the moment the busing, the taxiing of young people, often by long distances to places where they can go. Now that's not acceptable in the long run. It's certainly not acceptable in terms of almost making it a kind of stigma for a child to have any kind of perceived disabilities, because all children are the same. Whether they're in mainstream schools or whether they have a SEND provision need, they're all the same and all equally important. So the other thing we can do is build more ourselves of facilities that will cater for them. So that whether we're talking about cared for children or children with special needs, we will be investing, and we're actually already working on some invest to save schemes. The problem we have is it's not just that unsatisfactory situation that nobody wants. It's the fact that it's costing the County Council huge amounts of money. So we overspent, and we had to claw it back from other departments, £10 million on SEND provision. And we can't go on like that. So we've made lots of representations to the government, and I hope very much that they are taking this seriously, because they do need to. I personally favour the idea of having more local special provision that we can build ourselves or share with providers, so that we don't have that long travel involved, because nobody wants that, especially me.
The popular and successful Seal First School in Hexham is being forced to drop from 3 to 2 class year entrance going forward. This means that the school is on an old site, so it still has the ongoing costs that it had, but it will be losing funding because it will have less pupils, which may mean less teachers, and many families who want their children to attend the Seal School will not now be able to do so. Why is the County Council not supporting this successful and well-loved school when the number of people living in Hexham is, as you mentioned, is growing?
Okay, so it's more complicated than that. It's around the sustainment of our smaller village schools, to make sure that we still have those functioning and with children in it. So it has not been an easy decision to make, but it's the right one, we feel, in the longer term, to make sure that small village schools over here in the West in particular can maintain their viability and their student numbers. So it's a means to an end, and I know it's not the answer that many parents wanted, but that's the reason. It's the longer term future of education for the county as a whole.
Major potential building sites in Hexham, the old bus station, the workhouse, the engine sheds at Hexham railway station and cottages there, and the old ROP site have been left for years to deteriorate, with the council declining to purchase the old bus station, for instance. What are the County Council doing to purchase these sites and bring these sites back into positive local use quickly?
Well, the old bus station, for example, isn't owned by the County Council. We were offered it at a price that we didn't think was an appropriate price. The money the council spends is your money. It's council taxpayers' money. So we are going to be very, very cautious and careful about spending that on anything that doesn't stack up in terms of the figures. Now, there are some legal activities going on, which I can't go into, in order to kind of get the old bus station site sorted out. We're pursuing those in a vigorous way, but it's complicated, as these things always are sometimes when lawyers get involved. But we will continue to try and get that site sorted out. What we won't do is pay money for it that does not stack up and that is not what we consider to be value for money. So please stick in there. We are doing our best with that particular site. And all I can say is that if we look at the Hexham Middle School site, for example, that is one that we are really focusing on because it's one that we own and that we can actually make sure that the needs of Hexham and the West are met.
Hexham and the west of the county seem to be poor neighbours in respect of county council investment in significant new businesses compared to the south of the county. What's the county council doing to attract significant new businesses and new jobs to Hexham and the west of the county?
Okay, so we are working on that. One of the biggest achievements of this administration was the development of the new Northumberland line, which I know doesn't affect Hexham per se, but it is hugely successful, carrying 500,000 passengers in just over 7 months. That, along with the new QTS Blackstone data centre campus that's being built near Blythe, will bring us £110 million of ring-fenced money as our part of the deal, which we will spread across the county. So for the first time ever, the County Council has got this serious amount of money. We have an economic regeneration team that's just won a national award for the brilliant work that they do. And they know that market towns are just as important as those huge ones that provide this fighting fund that we're going to get. So we will continue to do that. But one way that we do help is that we continue to have free town centre car parking. That costs the County Council millions in lost revenue, but we think it's important that we do that for the sake of businesses, for the sake of tourists and residents, and we will continue to provide free town centre car parking. So it's a little bit unfair to accuse us of not investing in Hexham when you think about the huge car park that we built a year or two ago at significant cost to provide that free car parking in Hexham to allow more people to come and check out and work and shop in local businesses.
I think that the point I was trying to make there, Glenn, is that like many towns, Hexham is dependent on a few key large businesses or the public sector, and I think there is a need and a want to diversify the business environment, not just small businesses, but to actually attract significant businesses to what's a very attractive town to work in and to live, and has got some great assets going for it, but needs a bit more diversity and opportunity for employment.
But it has a great leisure centre. It has got a huge, very impressive hospital. We've got the school, and we've got all this development taking place on the old school site. So it has got everything going for it, and it's also a very beautiful place. And the Abbey is just beyond words in terms of a wonderful building. Outside, just a beautiful park, beautiful green space. I like the way the town council look after the town so well, and I like to have good relations with the town council because it's important that we do. So it's got everything going for it. So why did Marks and Spencer leave? I don't know. It seems incredible to me.
Are the county council making any approaches to businesses like Marks and Spencer to try and get them back into the town?
Yes, we are. We are very much so. So we are working on that. We know how important that is, and I think all I could say is just bear with us again, because we are working on it. We know the importance of it. That you have a society built on business, built on commerce, built on tourism, that needs to have our help, and that's what we're doing. So, as I say, you can see that in the marketplace. You can see it on the high street work that we did, and we will bring the housing that we need to Hexham at the middle school site. So we are playing our part. Ultimately, it's a difficult environment for shopkeepers, whether they're large or small. And I do worry that there is thought that business rates might be increased on large stores. It's thought that they can afford that. I don't think they can. I think business rates are pretty much at the top of the range they are already, without adding to those. So I understand that, and I understand why people, if they can pick up their laptop and order something on Amazon and get exactly what they want the next day, why that's somehow more tempting. But it's down to people as well, and I'm not sounding sort of over bossy or anything, but ultimately at the end of the day, Hexham people need to help the shops too, and I know that many do, but it's sort of deciding whether you want to go to the local shop, whether you want to shop on Amazon, and it's in all our hands. It's not just the county council, it's everyone's hands, but we're all working for the same aim.
£30 million was spent on creating a roundabout on the A69 at the entrance to Hexham, on the promise of dualling the A69 all the way to Carlisle. What's happened?
Don't ask me. Okay, so the answer is that is one of the schemes, along with other schemes like the A1, which I'm sure viewers will know about, which is also in dire need of dualling, and a number of very major roundabouts, one called the Moor Farm roundabout on the A19, which is that huge roundabout when you want to go to the hospital. All of these schemes need to be done, and I have written, when the new Prime Minister became the new Prime Minister, I wrote to him and outlined a number of schemes that I wanted to see happen in Northumberland, and I've reinforced that by writing recently to the Minister for Roads. We do need it done, and talk to Mr. Morris. He can maybe get them done. I hope he can. Certainly, I will continue to do all I can. And in the meantime, we as a county council will continue to invest in our roads, because the A69 and the A1 and so on are not run by the county council. So therefore, they're not our responsibility, and they're not, it's national highways that are basically responsible. But our roads in the county, 3,500 miles of them, are ours, and we are spending a huge amount of money this year, as we did last year, on bringing them up to standard. And I really hope that residents and tourists notice the better roads in the county.
I won't ask you about potholes, Glenn.
Please ask. We know that we are on top of our potholes in terms of knowing where they are and acting on them. But I throw out this challenge. If you drive around Northumberland now, a mixture of A, B, C and U-class roads, and then go to any other county in the country and do the same, I bet you £1 that you'll find the roads are better in Northumberland, because we're spending an awful lot of money on them, and because it's important. So we won't get there straight away, because ultimately you need billions to do roads, that will last forever. What we're doing now is, where we can, putting in structural patching into potholes so they last, surface dressing and relaying. And I recently went up to Kielder, and boy, the roads up there are just sensational, and they are getting better around the county. I'm not complacent, I promise you, but it's something that's important and we'll continue to invest in.
What is the County Council doing to improve rural bus and train services? Because they're vital for people to get to work if they're commuting, for young people if they're living in rural areas, if they want to get employment or to go to college. It's really torturous situation, with the lack of frequency of services, and lots of them are cancelled on a regular basis.
So I'm working very closely with Kim McGuinness, who's the mayor, with whom I have a very good working relationship. And the County Council, along with the Combined Authority, are putting more money into bus services, and will continue to do that. We're also looking very carefully about the possibility of deregulation of bus services, which means basically taking more control over bus services, not by sort of some nasty high-handed way, but by working much more closely, so that the bus services that are provided by the people we're working with, those bus companies, are more fit for purpose. Of course, we need more bus services in rural areas. And we know on some of the trials that we've done already that there is a need for those. One of the biggest problems is, in the past, that we've tried new bus routes and they've been trialled for a year and then stopped. And that's why people don't use them, because if they know that they might stop any day, they won't bother. If they know that's going to be there for a year or 2 or 3, then they will use them. So that's one of the key important things to do.
Efforts are currently being made by local groups to use currently wasted energy from Egger to sustainably heat some homes in Hexham.
Yeah.
What are the County Council doing to support this project?
So a year and a half ago, we agreed at Cabinet to fund £160,000 to work with a legal firm to draw up schemes for 10 different places, including Hexham, and that included Egger, for district heat pumps. And that captures the heat and sends it on through into people's homes. Now, that's the kind of thing the County Council should not get involved in, anything sort of commercially like that. But what we need to do is find a partner or a business that will do that for us. So that's where we're at the moment, working with this Newcastle law firm that's actually helping us procure a provider, and we'll be doing the same for Simpsons in Berwick, for example, where you have a lot of heat in parts of the southeast and so on. But Hexham is definitely on the list, and as soon as we can get a viable scheme, that's what we're going to do, and we've got the funding to help us do that. So very much on the agenda.
I want to thank you for coming here today and being interviewed by Hexhamtv, Glenn. But just making a general point, the visibility of the senior county leadership team in the west of the county is very poor. I mean, I've been doing this Hexhamtv for 10 years, and I could count on the fingers of one hand how many times the senior leadership team of the county council have been in the west and actually opened themselves up to the public so they can ask questions about what's going on and have their questions answered. Is this something that you'll be looking at in the future to try and improve the visibility of the senior leadership team in the west of the county?
We're not going to be looking at it, we're going to do it. So we have this programme that's been worked on at the moment that will take me, and probably the chief executive to some of them, to an open meeting. Now, I know I may well get bashed up and shouted at, but that's fine. I'm happy to do that. I like meeting people and I like hearing what people think. So as part of the build-up to the budget for this coming year, I will be doing public meetings, yes. Probably more drop-ins type sessions, so that I might be in a library, say, and people would be more than welcome to come and ask me any questions and ask if there's anything that I can do to help, and I will be more than happy to do that. So yes is the answer.
So Glen, you became leader of the county council again after the May elections. How's the makeup of the county council changed since that election?
There are more reform members, and they primarily won a lot of seats down in the southeast of the county in Blyth and Ashington. The Labour group lost members. We lost 4 or 5, but we remained the largest group. And as a result of that, we are the administration. But I'm working very closely because the last 4 years has been, we go back 5 or 6 years, we had quite a bumpy time when I first became leader. The last 4 years have been much calmer, much better. And relations between myself and the other group leaders are such that we do have a good level of respect and trust. And so I will be working with them to deliver what we all want to see, which is a county that is very special. And we may not achieve everything people want us to, but we genuinely try. Whether it's green open spaces in terms of our roads, social services, adult services, children's services, education, all those things are really important to deliver, and I know that I have the backing of almost all the councillors to do that. So I'm hoping for a calm 4 years. It is interesting that Northumberland was one of only 2 county councillors that remained in Conservative administration. The other was Buckinghamshire, which has been Conservative for N years. So I was deeply grateful, and I am deeply grateful, and I realise I have a very big commitment and a very big role to deliver on the trust that people gave us, and I will do that.
Glen Sanderson, Conservative leader of Northumberland County Council, thank you very much for talking to Hexhamtv.
Thank you.